The Winnipeg Jets took game one of their first round series versus the Vegas Golden Knights by a score of 5-1. Pierre-Luc Dubois went beast mode, scoring a goal and an assist. Connor Hellebuck, easy night for him, stopping 16 of 17. And oh yeah, Morgan Barron, 75 plus stitches. We'll have so much more on this game on Wednesday's edition of Winnipeg Sports Talk Daily with Hustler, streaming here on YouTube at 1 p.m. Central and available on podcast. But I chatted with Skylar Peters from CJOB about the Jets' win. Before I get to my conversation with Skylar, I want to ask you, what did you think of the Winnipeg Jets' performance in Game 1 versus the Vegas Golden Knights? Leave your thoughts in the comments, and if you haven't yet, please hit the thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. Skylar, thanks so much for joining me. What a game here we saw tonight for the Winnipeg Jets. What's your biggest takeaway from tonight's 5-1 victory from the Winnipeg Jets over the Vegas Golden Knights?
Biggest takeaway, Remis, is that it's a lot easier to burn the midnight oil when the guys put up 5 and have a dominant win in Game 1 as the 8th seed in the Western Conference in this supposed 1 versus 8 series. I mean, top to bottom, I think probably the best or maybe second best game of the year. I keep going back to this 5-0 victory they had over Colorado at home at Canada Life Center about 3 or 4 months ago. But I mean, this in every facet of the game, they looked awesome tonight. And really excited to dive into this one, man. And now they're in the driver's seat and they have home ice advantage all of a sudden. So great night for Jets fans.
Yeah, I think if you're a part of the Jets or a Jets fan, you want them to split 1 of 2 here at home in Vegas and come back. They did it on the first try in really dominant fashion. And you talk about burning the midnight oil here. I know the players go through the grind here at the end, and you're playing every second day, but staying up late for double overtime, I had to get my nap in here before the game started, just to be ready because I knew it was going to be a late one here. So thanks again for joining me. Starting off the game, right before puck drop, we found out that Nikolaj Ehlers, who was a game time decision, who had said, coming up that he would be ready, he would be in. Rick Bowness, kept saying day to day. He kept saying he would be day to day, but I'll be honest, I was pretty shocked. And I don't know how you felt when you heard Ehlers was a game time or was not going to play. Stanley, who was also day to day, he did play. But was your thoughts before the game when you found out Ehlers wasn't going to be in?
Yeah, just coming into this series, I had a fair amount of confidence that Nikolaj Ehlers was, going to be ready for Game 1, and that kind of changed for me when I heard our Paul Edmonds talking with Rick Bowness, and just kind of the way he phrased, possibly inserting Nikolaj Ehlers into the lineup for the Winnipeg Jets tonight. It didn't, he tried to sound optimistic, but just the way he was saying it, it really didn't sound like he was going to get in. They talked about, re-aggravating an injury, losing him for the series, that kind of thing. Of course, we don't know anything with what's up with Nikolaj Ehlers at this point. I think we can safely rule out a concussion because he was back on the ice at the end of that Minnesota game when the Jets celebrated with Connor Hellebuck. Obviously, they knew they were going to the playoffs after the final buzzer there at XL Energy Center that night. I feel like that's not something that they would let him do if he was in concussion protocol. But the Jets hold all the cards here, and the one silver lining out of a situation like this is they could kind of be coy with Nikolaj Ehlers' health, and that might get them a lineup advantage over Bruce Cassidy and the Golden Knights. Obviously, the Jets didn't need that tonight. David Gustafsson played some limited minutes. He got in his first NHL playoff action because of Ehlers' injury. I thought he looked pretty good. And Stenlund, to his credit, a guy that was a game-time decision, played really well, as did basically all 12 forwards for the Jets tonight. So, they get Ehlers back on Thursday night, looking for a 2-0 lead and a sweep on the road in the opening segment of this best-of-7 series. What a huge boost that would be for the Jets. But, for 20, 40 minutes last night, I kind of forgot he wasn't even playing. They were just so dominant without him. And that's with Nikolaj Ehlers probably being, top 2 forward over the last couple of weeks in the sudden resurgence for the hockey club.
Yeah, we know what kind of skating he can bring, his shot, what he does for the power play. But I actually thought the lineup changes, worked pretty well because I think Morgan Barron, he's been playing on the 4th line. He's deserved more minutes over the last, the last bit, and we're going to get to what happened to him. And he did miss part of the game, but it was Nino Niederreiter who moved into the Ehlers spot with Nemesnikov and Wheeler, and I thought he looked pretty strong, setting up Wheeler for a goal, but also having some nice passing plays with him as well. And we'll get to the game. I thought the Jets got off to a great start, but however, Connor Hellebuyck made some huge saves early on Brett Howden. After Pionk loses the puck behind the net, and another one, Morrissey loses behind the net, and it was Michael Amadio hit the post. I think those were the two best chances for Vegas all game. But throughout the whole first period, I thought the Jets, really, took the play to Vegas, outshot them, and Mark Scheifele had a nice toe drag from a Kyle Connor draw pass. But what turned out to be one of the most intense moments of the game was this great passing play. We've talked about Appleton and Lowry, and playoff Adam Lowry coming to play here tonight. Great passing play, setting up Morgan Barron on 3-on-1. Barron shoots it, and huge scramble in front. Appleton can't jam it in, and Barron gets cut. I mean, what a sequence of events there, and it's unfortunate the Jets couldn't score, but I thought they had showed pretty well there early in the first period.
Yeah, I mean the Barron moment there in front of the net when Laurent Brossoit's right foot, he's diving back towards a puck that's behind him, right? And I can see your legs flailing in that moment. You kind of picture how your body might react in that moment if you put yourself in Laurent Brossoit's shoes. And I mean, everyone's bet there was 6 or 7 bodies in the blue paint at that point, and just a scary incident. And as we often see with skates to faces, completely accidental, obviously, and just one of those moments where you kind of hold your breath. And I didn't even realize what had happened to Morgan Barron until, they kind of showed him on the Sportsnet broadcast going down the tunnel with a towel to his face. And I don't think it was immediately clear if you were watching this game on TV tonight what exactly happened. But Sean Reynolds reporting 75 plus stitches. They did ask Barron after the game if he had a number. He didn't know. A couple other guys, I think Adam Lowry said 50 plus, and you couldn't really see the damage because he had, quite a big bandage over, I think it was his right eye. But you could, see the bloody sweat leaking down his face at the end of the game. And a guy that went to Cornell and could have played with the half Pfizer, half birdcage in college, as I think most guys do in the NCAA. But he was a full birdcage guy, even in his senior year as captain of Cornell. So nothing he's not used to. That was just a couple of years ago, and good for him. I'm sure it's going to be pretty swollen, pretty sore tomorrow. But that whole first period for the Jets was very good. They were able to exploit some gaps, I think, by Vegas's defense all night, and they ended up scoring on a couple of those plays in the second period when they jumped out to that 2-0 lead. And then at the other end, it was gap control all night. The Amadio post and the Howden chance and a couple of other solid chances for Vegas were all from the outside. So full credit to the Jets D, especially on the rush, because this Vegas team's got a ton of speed coming through the blue lines. And except for that William Karlsson goal there, which is kind of a missed handoff from Blake Wheeler to, I believe, Brendan Dillon, they were solid all night.
Mention the Jets, Stevens. I've looked at a number of stats, and one stat was the Jets allowed 17 shots on goal tonight. That was tied for the least they've allowed all season. The other time was March 19 against St. Louis, where Joel Hofer shut out the Jets for a 3-0 lead. And it's funny, the other time was against Nashville the day before when they won. And the Jets have been playing this intense playoff hockey here, and it's now April 19. Those games were a month ago, and they were playing well, but they weren't scoring, weren't getting the wins. And, tonight, the guys who were slumping, a month ago and weren't scoring, like Pierre-Luc Dubois, this was playoff PLD. This was the PLD that we've been looking to see. He took the puck to the net in the first period and then finally got rewarded in the second period. One of the battles that we've talked about all year for the Jets is special teams and the power play. They did have back-to-back power plays in the first period. I thought they were able to move it pretty well on the first opportunity. They got kind of bad luck. Wheeler's stick broke on one of those, and Nate Schmidt had some nice chances with Adam Lowry helping keep the puck in later on, but they were not able to score. But I think after the first period, you had to feel pretty good about the way that they played, and you almost wonder, like, hey, are they going to regret here not scoring?
Yeah, basically 4 minutes. I think it was 3 minutes and 59 seconds straight of man-on-man time there as they took a slashing call right at the end of the first power play for the Winnipeg Jets. They had an interesting tact on those two power plays. They were bringing Schmidt down the right-hand side. I saw a lot of Remo. I don't know if you noticed this, and he was just teeing it up and letting it fly. Couple of good ones that connected, and I guess they're probably hoping for a rebound in front because it's not exactly like a high danger angle to bring Schmidt down the wall and take one from basically outside the faceoff dot. But they were working that a couple of times instead of overpassing, and that's what we saw from Vegas tonight. And full credit to the Jets PK, which is out of the four special teams units in this series, easily the best one. They really didn't give Vegas power play anything, and it was so apparent on that third power play by Vegas right at the end of the game that there were just no passing lanes. I mean, they passed it out of the offensive zone at one point because Alex Pietrangelo got crossed up with his D partner right there. So Jets power play, it looked okay. It looked middling. At some point, it's going to have to get going. If this team wants to make a deep run into the playoffs, clearly they didn't need it tonight. And full marks to the team 5-on-5 and on the PK for doing so. But, Kyle Connor showed up. He scored a goal. Pierre-Luc Dubois scored a goal. These guys are doing it at 5-on-5. You still got to be feeling pretty confident that they're going to find it when they go 5-on-4 at some point in this series.
Yeah, again, 5-on-5 where they scored 4 of their goals, I guess, although one of them was, 3 of them because one of them was an empty netter and the final one was a power play goal. So, but the 3 ones, and they started off the scoring 124 into the second period. Pierre-Luc Dubois drives wide and really finds Kyle Connor in a nice soft area there in the uppers, the high slot, and he beats Laurent Brossoit. We had heard so much coming into the series about how Vegas doesn't allow these, shots inside the slot, but you saw in the first period on the Barron chance and Dubois taking it to the net. And here with Kyle Connor, going in, and if you give him that much time and space, he's going to be able to pick a spot there behind the goalie, and just a great, zone entry by Dubois, and then finding Kyle Connor, and the Jets have a lead. Scoring first has been so huge, huge topic here going past, month and a half.
I would have put a significant amount of money on a goal being scored like in the first 10 minutes, whether it be, the Jets knowing that they have ridden that to some positive outcomes in the last, 11 or 12 games, or just Vegas feeding off the energy at the Fortress at T-Mobile Arena. I thought one way or another there was going to be a goal early on. We had a scoreless first period, obviously. Those first 2 goals by Winnipeg, very similar. They were coming off the rush, but, different in the same way. I mean, the Dubois shot, for him to go short side on Laurent Brossoit, and he was a little, he was talking it up a little bit in the post game about, this is obviously a guy he's faced before, and whether they have, scouting report on LB or not, because they did take a couple of high short side shoulder shots, and there was one in the third period, I think by Scheifele, that wasn't handled cleanly by Brossoit, but he did make the save. That was a shot that, he could not have put the puck too many other places and expected it to go in. And just a great pass by Dubois on that first goal to Kyle Connor, kind of softening up the defense. And we talked about that lack of gap control by Vegas. That was on Alex Pietrangelo. That's a Stanley Cup champion, and who should be their number 1 D-man if Vegas wants to have some success in the playoffs. And he left just way too much space for Kyle Connor, right at the home plate, right in a high danger slot. So I was very surprised. I don't think those opportunities are going to be there for Vegas, for Winnipeg from the Vegas D moving forward. I think that's the kind of stuff Bruce Cassidy will have cleaned up by Thursday, but really nice to see the Jets exploit that as much as they did tonight.
Yeah, it's funny. PLD in postgame with Sean Reynolds, I think Sean asked him, what's the secret sauce here that you did take advantage of this Vegas team that's so good at protecting the slot? He's like, well, I can't give away all our secrets, and I don't know if they actually have secrets or didn't want to get into it, but I did enjoy those comments. And yeah, on that goal, Vegas tries to gain the zone. It was Blake Wheeler who tips the puck out of the air, and makes a backhand pass to Dubois, who's coming on a line change and just with speed going in. And the Jets had a number of opportunities tonight, like one-on-one with the goalie. Kyle Connor had one late. Dubois did earlier in the first period, which we mentioned. So that was pretty big. You're up 2-0 in Vegas, and we know how good Connor Hellebuyck is. You'd like to think they'd be able to hold on to the lead. One thing they didn't do is they didn't sit back. They kept pressuring. They kept it up. They didn't sit back and let Vegas come to them. So So I mean, you have to give full credit for the Jets for playing the same way for the whole 60 minutes. They did get a penalty later on. Were able to kill it off, but it was William Karlsson who did end up was 15:49. Bringing Vegas within one and finally giving the Vegas fans something to cheer about. And that was just a gorgeous shot from Carlson of a pass from Barbashev.
Yeah, and so much speed from those two guys getting through the neutral zone too. Kind of in a similar way to how Dubois and Connor connected on the Jets goal. It was those two guys connecting as well. More of a lateral pass, obviously, than when Dubois went kind of back north to Connor in the slot. But tough play. That's a tough play for Blake Wheeler to make. I know they were talking in the intermission on Sportsnet about how that's Wheeler's responsibility to follow Karlsson back through the neutral zone. Yeah, maybe 8 years ago, Blake Wheeler was keeping up with William Karlsson on a play like that. I'm not sure he was going to anyway, Remis. So I mean, that's just a goal that Vegas showcases why they're such a deep, well-rounded team. But that is their strength. Their strength in their game. Their transition is it's lightning fast. I think they're one of the fastest teams in the league, especially getting through the neutral ice. And they're going to have to create more chances off the rush moving forward if they want to get back in this series. And then they got to turn it into sustained pressure. Like, I don't know about you, Remis. Did you see a 2-shift stretch where Vegas was able to maybe rotate some forwards in the offensive zone? I mean, they were in and out all night. And that's why they had just 17 shots on goal. Like, one of the big storylines coming into this series is how Connor Hellebuck's going to have to be the Jets' best player for them to win the series. He wasn't their best player tonight. I don't even think he had to be in their top 3, and they won by 4 goals with a couple of garbage time goals. So, if you're Bruce Cassidy, Remis, what are you doing here to try and adjust and get this team back in it, because they didn't look like they could compete at all really from puck drop tonight?
I don't know. You have to hope that you do a little mental reset here, and I think maybe it has benefited the Jets playing these playoff style games. They came in ready, and Vegas, got punched in the mouth a little, and maybe they'll come back a bit harder and go back to the way that we've seen them. Because you're watching this game, you're like, this is the team that was first place in the Western Conference.
Didn't look like it.
It did, yeah, it didn't look like it. So I agree, they're gonna be better here. And just in that second period, we talk a lot about Pierre-Luc Dubois. Really nice backhand sauce pass to Nate Schmidt, just bounced over his stick. Mark Scheifele took a penalty. Shoved a guy in the back. They called it cross-check. It was maybe the lightest cross-check I've seen, but the Jets penalty kill stepped it up. Were able to kill it off. Actually, had a nice chance with Pionk to Mason Appleton. And then at the buzzer, got a bit heated, and you knew you were going to see this in the playoffs. Who's going to be the big villain here on Vegas? But it was just everyone. Big melee there at the end with Scheifele had the chance, and it went in just after the buzzer went. So you thought it was going to get pretty hot there heading into the third.
Yeah, I got to give a shout out to Zach Whitecloud, a Sioux Valley guy, Manitoba man, obviously, one of several on the Vegas Golden Knights roster. He was mixing it up tonight. I was pretty impressed with Whitey's game for Vegas, playing that depth defenseman role. And he was one of the most solid of the Vegas D. And, a guy that knows that they got to play physical to get in this series, especially when you're down a couple of goals, right? You're just trying to find that spark. But, offensively, Vegas just couldn't find it. They couldn't sustain any pressure. And, there was a time when I was a little bit concerned as a Jets fan, just watching that, the crowd kind of ignite after that first Vegas goal, but fizzled out pretty quickly. The Jets got right back on the horse at the start of the third, made it 3-1 and kind of coasted from there. So I'm really interested to see how Bruce Cassidy responds with this club. I mean, this is a guy that could be up for the Jack Adams. This is a roster that doesn't have a guy that's scored 30 goals all year. They've just done it by committee all year. So I expect they're going to do that on Thursday, and I'd be very, very surprised if we see another 4-goal game on Thursday night.
Yeah, just looking at the numbers, we talked a lot about Jack Eichel. How is he going to do in his first playoff game? Well, he's got 0 points, played 20 minutes, 4 minutes on the power play, which didn't score, -3 for Jack Eichel. It's certainly not ideal. And you mentioned the Jets scoring, and yeah, I think you thought it was going to be a tight game. You thought the crowd was going to get back into it. Pierre-Luc Dubois had a nice wraparound backhand. We've talked a lot about him tonight, but it was Blake Wheeler scoring. A shot gets blocked, in the high slot. Niederreiter, I thought, was in a great shooting position, and I'm watching the game going, what are you doing? pass it here. You're in a great spot. Passes it to Wheeler, and Wheeler, gets a little backhand, and there's Nemesnikov in front of them. And I thought this line was very strong all night, and it was Blake Wheeler with his second point of the game. Had the assist on the Dubois goal, and really needed insurance mark, and the Jets were able to lock it down after that. So I mean, nice play from that line. Niederreiter stepping in for Nikolaj Ehlers with those two.
Yeah, we'll see what happens with this Jets lineup, obviously, if Nikolaj Ehlers comes back. And it's not going to be an issue to get 27 back in the lineup for them. But I really like this line. Like, two guys that are hounds on the puck in Nemesnikov and Niederreiter, two guys that can possess the puck really well. And Blake Wheeler, for his entire career has been putting the puck in the right place at the right time. And, he's not often the shooter, but just putting one on net there. And, he knows his two line mates are in front of the net. Maybe he gets a rebound off Laurent Brossoit there, but that one ended up just squeaking through. Probably the softest shot goal of the Stanley Cup playoffs through two nights. But, I don't know what the shot speed was, and nobody cares now. He's back on the board. I think his 9th point in now 7 games against Vegas in these 2 playoff series. So he's used to playing well, Blake Wheeler. A couple points tonight for him. Good to see him get a goal. And I'd like to see that line stick together for another game. Personally, I really don't know what you do, because then you're moving Morgan Barron around, who had a great game. Maybe he's going to feel the after effects of that cut a little bit more, and we'll see what his game's like on Thursday. But David Gustafson's probably going to be the guy coming out of the lineup, which is pretty obvious for the Jets if Nikolaj Ehlers comes back. But man, a good problem for Rick Bowness to have if he's going to get one of the most dynamic forwards on the ice in this Western Conference bracket, at least in the Stanley Cup playoffs, back, and have to force some lineup decisions after a great 5-goal performance.
Yeah, every day is going to be Nikolaj Ehlers watch here on Winnipeg Sports Talk. For everyone following the Winnipeg Jets, this Nemesnikov, Wheeler, Niederreiter line, 5-on-5, 8 shot attempts for, only 3 against. And I don't know if I mentioned this, the Schmidt-Sandberg pairing at 5-on-5 and was just under 12 minutes, 11:42. This number blew my mind. 13 shot attempts for, only 2 shot attempts against. So, I mean, that was the story of the game for the Jets. They kept the pressure on, even when they were up 3-1. However, you had to hold your breath a little when they took a too many men penalty. Pierre-Luc Dubois and Kevin Stanley get a bit of a mix-up, but they were able to kill it again. And not only did they kill it, Vegas, as you mentioned, they didn't even get a shot on net, and the Jets' penalty kill was perfect. Vegas pulled the goalie. Could have been a scary moment. Josh Morrissey took a slapper to the back of the head. He seemed to be okay, and it was Adam Lowry who eventually buried the empty netter. The Jets just played full 60, all the cliches, played the full 60. They played their game, kept the pressure on Vegas, and it was really just a complete effort and textbook from what you want to see from the Jets, and we'll have to see if they can continue this into game 2.
Yeah, and they didn't try to do anything that they haven't throughout the year, right? Like, they're not trying to force anything. I think Vegas had like 23 hits in the first period too. And that's not the kind of game that the Jets, are comfortable playing all year long, 60 minutes a night kind of thing. They're going to have to play that game at some point in the playoffs, right? Like, that's just how this goes. But they were moving the puck quick. They were skating north-south. When the Jets really struggled to create offense, I saw a lot of weaving in the neutral zone. They weren't doing that. They were getting over the blue line. I think they had one offside that was kind of a tough one, where Brendan Dillon was drawn offside by Dubois. It's just a little slow getting over the blue line. And other than that, they were so direct. They were getting the pucks deep. Blake Wheeler outracing the Vegas defenseman for the icing call right at the end of was that the first or the second period, Remo? I thought that was very impressive. Didn't obviously generate anything offensively. There was like 2 seconds left. Saved a defensive zone face-off with some tired legs, and maybe one of those situations where Laurent Brossoit is on the bench and they get 6 guys out for a quick shot. But that was the story of the game. The Jets had their legs. They were hungrier, and they played a very simple game. I don't know if this is like a Rick Bowness special. I don't really recall Dallas playing like this when they went on a run to the Stanley Cup final, but he coached this team to a T tonight.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of Dallas teams. I think they relied a lot on their goalie, especially last year when they took Calgary to 7 games with Jake Ottinger. Didn't need to rely too much on Connor Hellebuyck tonight. He did stop, was 16 of 17 here. And just as far as shots on goal, in the third period, the Jets 10, Vegas 2, 31-17 for the Jets, the shots for the entire game. And Oh, yeah, he thought the game was over at 4-1 for the empty netter. It was not. The Jets did get their power play goal. A pretty passing play. Adam Lowry, man, who's been so good here. The last, he didn't score for 35 games, I think, for the last. I think I looked at it before. It was like he had 9 points in the last 12, leading toward the end of the season. So he's coming on strong. He's a guy you want on the power play. Very clean shaven, too, growing that playoff beard. And another guy who had a shave, a different kind of shave, is Dylan Sandberg, shaved in a mullet. Him in his playoff debut, he had a very strong game, which I mentioned before. If some time on ice leaders as we wrap this up, DeMello Morrissey. DeMello leading all D, 23:55. Morrissey, I guess he came off a bit faster one time, 23:51. And on the forwards, who was it? Melainen, 9:08 for the Lois Gustafsson, 9:38. There's Barron, he played 10:44, coming back after 75 stitches. That's the viral moment you're going to see from this game. And it was Pierre-Luc Dubois, 18:22, Connor, 18:23, and Adam Lowry leading all forwards in ice time with 19:45. Incredible performance all around from everyone here. So I don't know what more we can add, Skylar, but went just about better than you could have ever imagined coming in tonight for the Winnipeg Jets.
Yeah, a couple closing thoughts, Remo. I said on Jets at Noon with Jim Toth on Monday that I didn't think Vegas is going to be able to rely on Mark Stone a whole lot. Well, let's go take a look at this ice time. Mark Stone, 21-28, led all Vegas forwards in ice time, 1 second more than Chandler Stevenson. Almost 4 minutes on the power play, 42 seconds on the PK. Got a shift in there as well. I didn't think Stone looked out of place at all. This is a guy that's coming off back surgery. Like, this isn't like a sprained ankle or something. Like, this is like a thing that could debilitate a guy and end his career. And he's a Winnipeg guy, and you always got to root for the local guys and hope for the best. And his absurd knob and his defensive game was there again tonight. And -3, I mean, that line had a tough night, obviously, against the Jets. But, if he's going to be a factor like that for the rest of the series, then there's a very good chance Vegas gets right back into this on Thursday. So I'd expect the best from that. And then I don't know if you were watching this right after that fifth goal by the Jets, the Adam Lowry tap-in on the power play with 20 seconds left. There's a shot of 4 Jets fans. I hope the powerful Winnipeg Sports Talk social media platforms can find the guy, Jets fan, doing this one. After his team goes up 5-1 in a playoff game, that guy had under 5.5 and just got his heart shredded. So 4 guys in Jets jerseys, somewhere in the 100 Bowl at T-Mobile Arena tonight. That guy lost a couple bucks, but probably hitting the craps table right now, getting it right back. So good luck to him out there. But that was a tough one to watch because I knew exactly what was going on for that guy.
That's pretty funny. Well, Skylar, this was great. We'll be doing this again Thursday after the game. It'll be a late one. We'll get the coffee ready. So thank you so much. And for everyone out there, Skylar, tell people where they can find your work or follow you on social media.
You can hear me on 680 CJOB weekdays. Follow me on Twitter at Skylar A. Peters for a hodgepodge of news and some sports commentary and the odd betting pick I throw out there.